All right, it is now 4 o'clock. We are going to get started now. Good afternoon. My name is Carmen, and I'm a librarian at San Francisco Public Library in California. Wherever you're tuning in from, we're so happy to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to Social Justice Science with Alejandra Ramirez. I am currently in San Francisco on the unceded land of the Ramaytush Ohlone people. To learn more about the land you live on, please visit the link in the chat. Thank you to the Friends of the San Francisco Public Library for their generous support of this series. We wouldn't be able to do it without them. For more information about Her Story, SFPL Celebration of Women History Month, visit sfpl.org/herstory. While you gather your supplies, I have a couple of reminders and tips. We hope today's program will be as interactive and engaging as a virtual class program can be. Before we begin, I am going to ask that the grown-ups in the room please take a moment to rename your Zoom window to the child or children's name that are tuning in today. This will allow Alejandra to see the windows and know who is participating. Please add your question to the chat and Alejandra will answer them at the end. Feel free to utilize the chat to ask our SFPL staff questions directly. We are going to record today's session and share it on YouTube so others can watch and practice. So if you prefer not to be on camera, please turn off your video by clicking Stop Video. Alejandra Ramirez is a Bay Area artist and museum educator. You can follow her work on Instagram at Alamia. All right, I think we're ready. In today's craft, we are going to learn about several women activists and be inspired to send our own message in a colorful poster. Take it away, Alejandra.
Hello, everyone. All right, awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Hello, everyone. I'm Alejandra. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, for the last day of Women's History Month, we're going to be learning about some amazing women artists and their social justice work. And I hope they inspire you as much as they have inspired me. As shortly after, I'll be walking you through the process of making your own social justice sign about something that's really important to you. Next slide, please. But first, let's talk a little bit about social justice. What does the term social justice mean, and why do we need social justice signs in this world? Next. The term social justice refers to fair and equal treatment between people and society, regardless of gender, sexuality, ethnicity, social status, religion, and so on, all in order for us to have a more peaceful and loving world. It's not only about helping others when there's a problem, but also about getting to the root causes of these social issues. Why are certain people and communities not being treated fairly and as equals from the start? Why is the distribution of wealth, social privileges, and opportunities not the same for all? Some more examples of social justice issues are healthcare, homelessness, housing, poverty, education, labor, mental health, racism. Even though discussions about social justice and self-reflection can be challenging, it's really important to not disconnect from both our own needs and the needs of others. And we need to remind ourselves that through the lens of social justice, we learn to look at current and historical events, even our own actions, to spot discrimination and inequality, which will lead us to just be better at decision-making for all. As we listen to those around us and continue to learn more about different social justice issues, here come the questions of, how do we support and engage in these movements? How can I speak up for myself, my communities, other people that are different than me, and whose identities and experiences are not honored enough? How can I support community organizers that have been very outspoken and continue taking positive action for a more just and peaceful world? Well, one very easy and important answer is through art, which helps us to create social justice signs. Next slide, please. All right. Now, why do we need social justice signs in this world? Why do we need to have signs that highlight maybe some social justice issues like climate change, Black Lives Matter, gender rights, women rights? As not everyone has the resources to support the needs of their communities, it's important for us to show support and solidarity to others, maybe even show up for ourselves. Through social justice signs, we can very easily and strongly communicate our support. Through social justice signs, we can share messages from our homes and business windows, maybe as we take part in marches or uprisings, even online through social media. We can easily look at our home, the Bay Area, and how its history is full of art activism and social justice organizing. The Bay has long been known for having many folks and communities working towards a more just and peaceful world across so many social justice issues, including labor organizing, freedom of speech, gender equality, racial justice, and environmentalism, among so many others. When we see or participate in these Bay Area and national movements, we can note how many social justice signs can be seen everywhere. In physical gatherings, we see people marching, chanting, singing, and holding up high, very different sized homemade and artist-made signs that express why they and we are protesting at that moment. Sometimes these social justice signs just have the words on them, and sometimes the words simply are painted in black. And that works great. But sometimes social justice signs are bright, colorful, full of words and images that shine through the waves of people marching together. Here, it's very important to note that there has never been a movement for social justice without art. If you go through photos and documentation of movements throughout history, you will see how art is everywhere. And when presented through social justice signs, they have a direct political message that reaches out to people more quickly, as it will stand out to the people nearby or who run across it, who maybe weren't aware or just don't know enough of the social justice issue being presented. Today, social justice signs continue to help us educate and demand action. They help people see the world in different ways. They help us imagine what's possible. And most importantly, they help us create change in our communities and our country. Next. All right, so we just talked about how there has never been a movement for social justice without art. This is where these women artivists, which means artists and activists, come in. As women are underrepresented in the art world, it's important to recognize these talented and dedicated artivists using different art mediums to tell stories about the injustices faced by their communities, and how their art always advocates for social and political change. Their art educates us, helps us imagine what's possible, and moves us to take action. These artists are living in their truth and are encouraging all of us to create a more intersectional and inclusive future. As we go through them and their work in the next slides, please take note on what you admire of their work, what stands out to you, what similar values you share with them, what social justice issues they make art about that really connects with you. Start thinking about what and how you would create your own social justice sign. What is something that stands out to you currently? Next. Thank you. First off, we have Miriam Kleinstahl, who we see here at her exhibition, Radical Matriarchs in 2018. Next slide. Miriam Kleinstahl is actually the illustrator of the artwork representing Women's History Month at the San Francisco Libraries this year. Miriam is a Bay Area artist, educator, and activist based in Berkeley, and the New York Times best-selling illustrator of the Rad American Women A through Z, Rad Women Worldwide, and Rad Girls Can books. In addition to her work in printmaking, drawing, sculpture, paper cut, and public art, she is also the co-founder of the Arts and Humanities Academy at Berkeley High, where she taught since 1995. As an artist, she follows in a tradition of making socially relevant work, creating portraits of political artists, activists, misfits, radicals, and radical movements. As an educator, she has dedicated her teaching practice to address equity through the lens of the arts. Today, her work has been widely exhibited and reproduced internationally. Next. Here we see Miriam's illustration in her New York Times bestselling book, Rad American Woman A through Z. I very much recommend it. And actually, just last year, she took part in the Oakland Museum of California's Hella Feminist, an exhibition, which explored the multifaceted history of feminism in the Bay Area and California over the last 100 years, as well as issues that our society faces today. In the Oakland exhibit, Miriam, along with her book's co-creator, Kate Schatz, created a site-specific installation featuring 300 paper-cut portraits of a diverse array of women and non-binary people from Oakland, Berkeley, and the East Bay. Each portrait looked similar to the illustrations we see here on the screen. Each of them was numbered, and a corresponding zine produced especially for the exhibition told viewers about who each person was or is, and what kind of work they do for themselves, their community, their family, and their survival. This installation also included audio interviews with featured individuals. I highly recommend to check out her books and artwork. Her work is really, really great. Next slide, please. Now we have Fabiana Rodriguez, who is an interdisciplinary artist, cultural strategist, and social justice activist based in Oakland. Fabiana's practice includes visual art, public art, writing, cultural organizing, and power building. She leads meaningful collaborations with social movements that lead to resilient and transformative cultural strategies. Her art addresses migration, gender justice, climate change, racial equity, and body freedom. Her art embodies the perspective of a first-generation American Latinx artist with Afro-Latinx roots who was inspired by artists like Emory Douglas of the Black Panther Party, artists from Cuba, and the social justice art from the Chicano movement when she first started creating her work. Today, Fabiana Rodriguez is the co-founder and president of the Center for Cultural Power, a national organization igniting change at the intersection of art, culture, and social justice. She is also the co-founder of the Eastside Arts Alliance and Cultural Center, a cultural center and affordable housing complex in Oakland, and Presente.org, the largest Latino online organizing community in the US. Next. Thank you. Here we have one of Fabiana's many artworks. Migration is beautiful. The monarch butterfly represents the beauty of migration. Fabiana believes we all belong to nature and nature has no borders. The butterfly is a symbol for the right of all living beings to move freely. Like the monarch butterfly, human beings cross borders in search of safer habitats and in order to survive. In this figure, each wing shows a human profile. The phrase, "migration is beautiful," celebrates the resilience, courage, and determination of migrants who come in search of their dreams. Fabiana originally launched the Migration is Beautiful campaign in 2012 at the Democratic National Convention in collaboration with the Indocubus. At the time, former President Obama was deporting over 1,100 immigrants a day. Since then, this symbol has become a popular symbol of the global immigrant rights movement. Next slide. All right. Here we see two of her social justice signs. Small scale farmers can cool the planet on the left, and food is freedom on the right side. About small scale farmers can cool the planet, which was created in 2015, we see farmers are opening their hands, releasing seeds, and those seeds are turning into water. They are creating abundance for all people while caring for the land. About this work, Fabiana shares, climate chaos, food justice, and environmental justice are issues that I deeply care about. The increased use of chemical fertilizers on croplands and methane emissions from cows are top contributors to climate change. Small-scale farmers can cool the planet as they feed the world. I strongly believe that we must create a just economy that respects our environment and treats all people with dignity. This requires conscious production consumption. Small-scale organic farming uses widely available and inexpensive methods. If we switched all agricultural practices to follow this model, greenhouse gas emissions that propel climate change could be significantly reduced, and we could sequester 100% of current carbon dioxide emissions. To do this, we need to stand with small farmers and achieve critical mass conscious eaters. We have power when we exercise a choice of eating from small producers. Now, the Food is Freedom social justice sign on the right side, created in 2015, was originally commissioned by the Hope Collaborative, an Oakland-based food security organization that works to help communities of color have access to whole and healthy food. About this piece, Fabiana says, the food we eat is a reflection of our values and significantly shapes our lifelong health. Our choices around food can lead to healthy, equitable communities. Similarly, our choices or access to food can devastate our planet and our bodies. Most of us can choose either to nourish our bodies with wholesome food from the earth, or to poison our bodies with corporate junk loaded with sugar, preservatives, and genetically modified ingredients. Food is freedom. Food is self-determination. Food is security. Next slide. Now, the last social justice artwork we'll be looking at of Fabiana Rodriguez is The New Economy, also created in 2015. This poster was a collaboration with Yes Magazine and the New Economy Coalition. The two organizations set out to solve a question. Why didn't they have better images to tell the story of the new economy? Both organizations told stories about the new economy all the time. But they found that key movement concepts like localism, shared wealth, and cooperation were hard to visualize. They found themselves falling back on images that stood out to them, usually like windmills, farmers markets, and community gardens. Beautiful as those images were, none of them captured the incredible diversity of people and activities gathered under the umbrella of the new economy. Californians collaborating to take back their energy grids from corporate monopolies, employees becoming owners of the companies they work for, racial justice organizers building power to make Black Lives Matter in city budgets, and so much more. So this is where Yes Magazine and the New Economy Coalition felt that the new economy deserved better art. It needed the colors, the characters, and style that have enriched grassroots struggles from Occupy to the immigrant rights movement. They needed Fabiana and other artists to bring the new economy to life on paper and in pixels. All right, so now here we can go on to the next slide, please. Okay, now last, we have Rachel Wolf Goldsmith, and I love her work as she paints social justice signs inside her murals as part of them. Rachel is a muralist, painter, and creative director of BAMP, the Bay Area Mural Program Organization, and is based out of Oakland. Adopted and of Nigerian, Jewish, and European heritage, her perspective is diverse and unique. She is interested in shaping culture through the large-scale imagery. Her compositions are intuitive and often seek to reflect the culture, moments, and dreams that shape her communities. Her mural practice centers on creating empowering representations of BIPOC individuals while creating learning and economic opportunities for emerging artists. Her art centers around empowering women, people of color, and femme-identifying people. At this current moment, her work focuses also on aiding the global revolution against white supremacy, conveying a warrior spirit of human nature and the feminine. In this current political and social climate, her inspiration comes from capturing the fight toward equity, the beauty of Black people, and how she can convey the momentum and inner strength. She works between the street and studio using mediums from oil paint to aerosol. To date, she has produced gallery work and murals across the US, Costa Rica, and Australia. Next. Thank you. Here we have Rachel Wolf Goldsmith working on a massive mural titled She Will Rise, which she, along with help from other artists, created in Washington, D.C. last year. It was commissioned by She Will Rise, an initiative of demand justice that was working to get the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. This mural by Rachel motivates and pushes for more women of color, especially Black women in the Supreme Court, showing the public what these women look like and the values, the principles, the experiences, and the perspectives that they will bring to the court. About this mural, Rachel also said, I wanted the mural to have movement and kind of appear almost dreamlike. Like these are all the possibilities of what can be. If I am doing my job right, I am being an open channel and a vessel for that creativity to come through. Next slide, please. Now, the most recent and my personal favorite project that Rachel has been a part of is the West Oakland Mural Project. This mural is a public art installation honoring the Say Her Name movement and the women of the Black Panther Party. The installation actually began January of this year. This mural gives every viewer the opportunity to learn and say the names of women that were members of the Black Panther Party. This collection of names will be the most comprehensive collection of names celebrating the women of the Black Panther Party in existence. This mural honors the legacy of these women warriors, long left in the shadows. Women whose only goal was to protect and better the lives of the Black, poor, and oppressed people across the world. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Now we're going to walk you through the steps of making a poster about something you really care about, so that no matter where or how you share your sign, your voice can be heard. Here are the materials you will need. So as you can see, they're on the screen and we have been sharing them in the chat, but I'm gonna go over them one more time. A poster, any signs. If you have regular 8x11 paper, that works fine. I asked for multicolor paper. If you don't happen to have multicolor paper with you, that's okay. If you could just have a few extra sheets of white paper with you. I asked for markers, especially a black marker. Glue stick, scissors, if you would like to cut paper and glue on your main poster. And optional, a pencil, a ruler to help you make a straight line, when writing. And maybe you have magazines around near you. And if you feel comfortable with it, you would like to look for some images that stand out to you and you would like to incorporate today on your poster. Now, I hope looking at Miriam, Fabiana, and Rachel's work inspired you, and maybe you took note on what you admired of their work, what similar values you share with them, what social justice issues they make art about that really connects with you. Maybe you already know about what and how you will create your own social justice sign. But if you're still trying to decide what to write and draw on your poster, I have some questions and guidelines to help you figure it out. You're more than welcome to use one of your papers that you have with you or a scrap of paper you have nearby to write down some thoughts. Next slide, please. All right, so again, if you're still thinking of what you want to make your poster about, I have these questions here on the screen that maybe can get you thinking a little bit more and think about, what's that one thing you want to present in your poster, okay? So the first question, what do you care about? What do you believe is really important? Next, I have, what have you heard others in your community talk about? What do you already know about these issues? We also have, what is something in your community, county, state, country, that you believe needs to change? What is something that could be improved and how? And last, if you care about a lot of social issues, so if you're having kind of a hard time deciding on one thing, right? Maybe you can think of how these different issues that you have in mind, how they connect. We want to keep our messaging in word symbols. Our signs should be understood in seconds. And so that's something very important about posters. We usually posters, when we're walking around using them, like people only see them in seconds. People drive by a poster, and again, like the goal with the sign is to be able to catch the message in, like, let's say 5-6 seconds. So we want to make sure that the message we have is very straightforward, is to the point, right? Clear. And so you are more than welcome to connect a few more than one, than two social issues together, but just make sure that they really are presented well on your poster. Okay. Raise your hand if you would like me to keep the questions on the screen for a few more seconds. All right. So we can go on to the next slide. Okay. So from here on, once you have the idea of what you want to make your poster, the next parts are a little bit easier. Whatever message you're thinking about, you want to think of drawing symbols that usually represent that social issue. So let's say I'm talking about the world, something that affects everyone. I could use a world symbol. Let's say I am talking about food or agriculture or immigration and immigrants that work in agriculture. I can draw and create a strawberry. As you see right here. So this is where, now that you have your messaging, you draw and write on your poster, okay? Or maybe you draw and write on another piece of paper and then glue it on your poster. You can look through your magazine and look out for images that stand out to you. And you can either use just one magazine cutout, or you can create a collage for a really awesome, more detailed artwork. We can go on to the next slide. Okay. Now this is just an easy continuation. Cut, glue, color. I am a big fan. Like I said earlier, if all you do on your poster is write, even just one word in black letters, that is totally great. That's fine. But I personally love to see color on posters, especially when you are participating in marches or when someone is passing by your window. Color is what's going to stand out, what's going to catch people's eye. So I really suggest, if you have color paper, if you have markers, to really try and fill up the poster with those vibrant colors. All right, next slide. So here I did a little mock-up of my own version of Fabiana Rodriguez Immigration is Beautiful artwork. I did this artwork earlier and I really enjoyed, I really thought of how the Black butterfly created a really nice canvas to add the wording right in the middle, where the wording would still stand out, right? So there's a lot of detail in this kind of poster, but I still gave enough space for my wording, for my message to be presented and connected to the butterfly, right? So I hope all of this has, really encouraged you all to create something really colorful. I want to check in, make sure that if you have any questions, I can support with that. But I think we can go back, Lisa, if it's okay, to the questions slide. So it's 2 slides before that. Perfect. Awesome. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for hearing me out. Does anyone have any questions? Would anyone like to share anything that stood out to them during today's PowerPoint and talk that we had? Would anyone like to share which one of the 3 artists stood out, maybe was their most favorite? Let's see, Isabel, Van, Mai, Jimmy, May. You can absolutely share in the chat with us, and also any other questions.
I think migration is beautiful. That's kind of nice. Never thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, thank you, Van.
Don't know what that means. Migration is beautiful.
Yeah, I think
migration, I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Fabiana started working with that. It became a really big symbol starting around 2012. And usually, in Latin America, we have a pretty big connection with monarchs just because they reside in a lot of those areas. So definitely just making the connection with immigrant people. It's been a very beautiful experience to see. And definitely she's not the only one that works with the butterfly symbol. So definitely I would suggest looking out for a few more. All right. Okay, I see Isabel said they like the small posters about the new economy. Yeah, so that was also Fabiana's artwork. And Fabiana has such an extensive archive of artwork. and it just continues changing. The style continues changing over and over. But for me personally, like, I love that series that she created in 2015. I'm very much a person that loves all the rainbows and all the artworks. Yeah, so thank you. Let's see. Then I see Pauline loved the murals. Awesome. Yes. I actually took the pictures, two of the pictures for the Black Panther party mural. I got to visit it. It's really close to the West Oakland BART. So if you ever do have the opportunity to go, I highly suggest you take the opportunity. Ileana said, I love the connection to Bay Area artists, muralists, and movements. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I think.
Was the Black Panther mural painted on a house, or it's a mural of a house? Oh,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, it's a few blocks away from the West Oakland BART. And there's a woman that, well, she's the homeowner, and she basically saw that whole side of her house as an opportunity to create artwork. And yeah, she sought out Rachel, the artist Rachel, who is the creative director of the Bay Area mural program. And so she got Rachel, and then she even reached out to actual women that were part of the Black Panther Party, to lead the way in creating this mural and honoring all of them. So yeah, they had like they're not completely done with the mural. They continue adding names of women to it, but basically it's a completed work, and it's really, really awesome.
Oh, so it's a picture of a house, or it's painted onto a house?
It's painted onto the house.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see. Lisa, can we go back to that slide? I think it's 2 slides. Yes, here. Yeah, so this is her house, and it's really great. Yeah, it's huge. And it just very much stands out with the blue and, the large size wordings. So it's really amazing. So here we can see the impact of, in the artwork, we see a social justice sign, and we see the message. I can't read it exactly right now. We've come too far to turn back now. All power to the people. So a very popular phrase, all power to the people, right? And we see it in connection with color, with the style of the graphic text around. It's something very beautiful to see in person. All right, let's see.
So we have a question from Pauline in chat. It's like, are you familiar with the mural of Greta Thunberg just south of Sutter on Taylor?
No, I have not seen it. I know who Greta is, but I have not had the chance to see it. I should. I will. Thank you, Pauline.
During this time, do anyone else have something to ask or to share with us?
I have a question.
Yes.
Alejandra, do you know who funded this? Because of course, to create art, it is not free. And so did the woman who lived in this house just donate her house as a canvas, or was it supported by someone financially? Do you know?
I'm trying to, I want to say she commissioned it. I believe that's what happened. I mean, the house is beautiful, and like it seems like it's pretty newly renovated. So I think that this was an investment. I think there, let me see. Here is the link to the mural project Instagram and the website. And I know definitely in the website, they kind of explain a little bit more also like what they do. this project, just continues expanding. They do, they support with food. They basically support in giving out food in the community. Like they have created different events for community. Yeah, so it's been really awesome to see.
I have something to share.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, I was drawing when you were talking. I made this.
Oh, that's awesome. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your artwork?
Well, I guess because with the recent attacks on elderly Asians, I did like stop AAPA hate. But for the hate, I didn't like that it was singular, so I like did a drag and to like cross out the hate to like as a way to like stop it. I guess I do have a question. Is like when I go to when I like sometimes I see protests and stuff, I always see people having like such nice signs and like catchy signs. I always wonder like, do they do it on short notice or do they like plan ahead on making the signs?
Both. There's a lot of, there's some signs that keep being recycled. Why? Because these social issues have not been resolved, right? So a lot of times people just very easily can Google it and just kind of copy that down. It's much easier than thinking of something very original or like, from a new kind of issue coming up. Yeah, I think the other part, there's a lot of sign making parties that a lot of organizers do. That's something really fun to participate in. Like especially like May 1, is coming up, Labor Day. So it's not Labor Day. How do you say it? Labor, like Workers Day, right? Yeah, so usually for that, like especially like in East Oakland, that's where I see it happening since there's a march there every May 1st. There's like sign making parties just the day before. So basically the March day comes and these posters are passed around to anyone that would like to, carry one. Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways. A lot of times also because it can be hard to prepare for marches, especially when they are kind of last minute. People keep like the posters like saved somewhere since they already have the stick sometimes. And so they just kind of end up layering over and over or reusing some parts of the images or words and just kind of recycle them. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Wow, I didn't know that there are sign making parties.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And honestly, it's I think it's really smart because usually when you have to do one on your own, like you have to go buy the supplies, you have to, like it's much more, it's not as like financially efficient and time. So yeah, so the sign making parties like or the gatherings are really fun because it's like usually in an outside space and everything's set up for community collaboration. And so you have even people working together on one poster or really big banners. You have art materials being bought in bulk. So it just becomes more efficient and honestly, it's just the collaboration part is really amazing also to see.
Thank you for that. So before we wrap up, do anyone have anything to ask or to share?
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much to Alejandra for presenting today, and thank you for everyone for joining us. You can follow Alejandra on Instagram at Alamina. If you share any photos of her story artwork, please tag at Alamina or at SF Public Library or hashtag SF Public Library. All right. And thank you so much again for joining us today. And that's a wrap.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.